All right, 3.8 liter Chrysler. We are doing the valve cover gaskets, and we're going to take off the upper intake. I've already pulled off some of the hoses. That one, this one, brake booster hose. Then you got whatever the heck this goes to. I don't really care. I got to take off the throttle and the throttle cables, this EGR pipe, this power steering assembly, this other pipe back here. I took off the airbox. I already took off the airbox on this side, and yeah, just the boot. And then I think we're just gonna get the upper intake off, and we're gonna work around what's available. But I do want to do this. Because this wire is like coming apart, I'm just gonna do that. Make sure nothing falls into that tube while I'm getting it off, and then we can clean it off once we're... I should probably do that now. Before we get the upper intake off. All right. $8 mil. Like that crap. 8 mil electric ratchet. Dislodge. Just gonna set that to the side. Same 8 mil here. Any gaskets? Yes, there's a gasket there. And a gasket up there. And I should have taken off the throttle first. Yeah, there we go. We got it out. So, don't lose your gasket or your bolt. You will need them. Seems like everything on this car is an 8. Come now. Eh. There you go. Just go between them. I don't need to mark it. They're already on one side or the other. You take those out by rotating them. There's a little open notch, so you rotate the cable to where it'll just slide out. Just tuck this somewhere. Now we gotta get this really stiff hose off. We got a connector. That's unplugged. Another connector. There's 2 connectors back here, which I'm trying to get this one off. And then there's a hose, I think, that goes to the top. Is this got a... I don't know if this has got coolant running to it. But that one clip is being a big pain in the butt. There we are. Got that one off. Ah, there we go. Got that hose off. It's not a liquid line or anything. It's just an air vacuum line. Pliers. Where are my pliers? Yeah. Can't find my own tools in my own toolbox. Ooh, this hose is stiff. Ah. Ow. Dang it. Grab it. Grab it. Grab it. Grab it. You can do it, man. Unclip his fucking head off. Ah. Caught it. Eek. That hose is less fun. Less fun, but doable. And we need a new hose because it's split. Ow. Man, everything on this car is sharp. Alright, let me go tell him we need another one of these hoses. Alright. Tended to wounds, put on gloves. We're good. So let's get these. I got all the rest of the stuff unhooked. I think we got that recorded. So these bolts, which I believe are 10s. Noah left. Noah decided to move. So he is no longer with us. Need a little extension. Tiny extension. Can't use tiny extension. Too close to frame. Grumble, grumble. Trying to make sure I don't get my ratchet caught. Because that turns a good day into a bad day when you get your ratchet caught under there. I know. Swivel tin. I always forget about my swivels. I don't know why. They're like the last thing I think about. Damn it. Gonna get it stuck with the swivel. There. Look at that. Look at her. Now, of course, we're going to wipe off all this. Try to wipe away from the intake. So that way you don't push the dirt down the cylinder head or down into the cylinder head. Whoops. Well, it's coming off anyway. And the majority of what I was worrying about is gone. That's why I pull the rag tight so it is just where I'm wiping. And now we're going to cover these up. Unfortunately, this tape is not as wide as my previous tape, but it will still suffice. Just masking tape. Painter's tape, masking tape, whatever you want to call it. I personally like it a little better than rags, because even with rags, stuff can still sometimes get down in there. Neat. I hope it works out well. Ugh, look at this stuff. It's just breaking apart. That's what I'm trying to avoid, getting into the valve cover, because there's so much breaking apartness. Alright, we should be ready to pull this valve cover off once we get these bolts undone, which those are 8s or 10s? 8s. Bolts come all the way out. Nope. That's fine with me. Get these little ones with a swivel head. You could make your life easier if you wanted to take out this lower intake, but honestly, it's just not worth the effort, especially because I can see the bolts and I can get to them. So, why bother? And in case you're just joining us on Twitch, we're just doing a valve cover gaskets. I'm recording it. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to make a video out of it. Depends on how much I like it. That one's going to require a deep well because it's a stud. It's mostly old school thinking these days. You can let your fuel level get low, but it's not good for the fuel pump and stuff like that, because your fuel pump is submerged in gas, which helps keep it cool. So yes, it can pick up trash from the bottom, but the sump always picks up from the bottom. So it's more like it could get stuff that was floating that is now at the bottom. But generally, I wouldn't worry too terribly much about it. I mean, you can only do what your budget can handle, honestly. If you can afford to get gas that day, then great. If you can't, yeah, understandable. So many studs back here. I would hit it with the electric ratchet, but it's kind of cramped back here. So, taking off the valve cover gasket now, and it is pretty hard. Not as hard at the top as I think it's going to be here, yeah, at the bottom. This is crunchy, especially when you can break it in half. We go throw that away. So these hard gaskets are what get you leaks. And this thing is really hard. I believe in you. So, to summarize, it's a little hard. And then you want to replace these little rubber grommets as well, which is what's in this bag. All that stuff. And these you can replace a couple of ways. The fastest way is to just cut them. Cut the old ones off. Grab a new one. Remember which direction it went. Alright. So, little. Why does this look like it's backwards? No. Little grommet piece, that part down. So you just gotta kind of walk them on like that. So I'll get all those replaced, get the new gasket back on, and show you what it looks like when we're done. Once you have the studs with their new grommets and stuff, you merely get the gasket on, and then you push these through until the gasket fits over it and it'll hold it in. And then it'll keep the gasket on and keep the bolts on. So you have a way of installing it without the gasket falling everywhere, which is quite nice. So let's go ahead and get it back on, shall we? All right, for my next trick, we'll get this valve cover back in whilst the gasket stays in place. So it goes this way, where it's tapered towards the top, because this valve has to come straight up. If I put it on this way, it wouldn't be in the right direction, so. So you got a little notch here in this little cover, which helps you get that initial part over. And then you just gotta push the hose back. Trying to look at my gasket. I can feel it on the other side. I just kind of, feeling to make sure it's where it's supposed to be. I already wiped off the surface. So now we just thread in the bolts. A trick to getting the bolts to thread is to grab the bolt and wiggle it back and forth whilst giving it gentle turns, and that'll help it get dropped into the hole. And once you get a few in, usually you don't have to really do that for the rest. Also, you can wiggle the whole valve cover too, just to make sure they get started. Sometimes it'll turn a little bit and get stuck, and you wiggle the valve cover and it loosens up. So, all right, little tidbit, note that I need to put in here. Make sure that on the back valve cover, these are not studs. These are regular bolts. The rest of these, it kind of doesn't really matter which one you use because nothing's attached to them. But if there is something attached, obviously you want it to be a stud there. But these two have to be the regular bolts or else you can't tighten them down. So, that's all. And if you would like to help support the stream or the YouTube channel or whatever you're watching this on, you can either use an Amazon Prime sub on Twitch or members on YouTube, all sorts of things like that. Those are greatly appreciated and help me pay bills. Alright, so I'm going to get all that bolted down, and that's pretty much all we need to do about that because it's just backwards from here. We put everything back together. I'm going to do the front one, which is even easier than the rear, so it should be pretty self-explanatory. If you can handle doing the rear, you can do the front easy. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and sub if you like it, and have a fantastic rest of your day.